How's everybody doing? Everybody, I really appreciate you showing up and welcome to another episode of Alan Roberts Uncensored. This is my podcast. Now, this is separate from my other social media, and this is where I am going to just broadcast things and interviews that I believe we all should be talking about. We all should be paying attention to that for some reason, certain conversations are not happening. Certain things seem to be not able to be discussed on social media. And basically, it's because they don't want us talking about this. They don't want us talking about the things that are actually affecting our lives. Today, we are going to be talking about how the CDC director, Dr. Rachel Walensky, should be arrested. She absolutely has misled people based on nothing else besides either her personal opinion or being influenced by entities. This is not a question. I am going to get right into this, and the first thing I can put is that this video from her from the 30th of 2021 is in fact not founded, not based in any, and I mean any, type of factual data that can be found anywhere, not even from Pfizer themselves. There cannot be found any data to show that what this woman says in this video should be said at all. They themselves admit that they were not even testing for how the vaccine affected people when they were pregnant, breastfeeding, anything like that. It is literally in their information. However, that did not stop the director of the CDC, somebody that is seen as a public health expert, somebody that's seen as a public health policy driver, from saying this very, very damning statement. If you ask me, this is disgusting.
Is it safe to get vaccinated while you're breastfeeding?
It absolutely is safe to get vaccinated. So I would say if you...
Based on what data? This is what I would like. If we do not even arrest this woman for very seriously lying to everybody, robbing people of informed consent, what did she make this claim on? What data did she herself make this claim on? How is she so sure that there is absolutely no bad time to get vaccinated against COVID-19 when breastfeeding, yet alone?
You are thinking about getting vaccinated, there is no bad time to get vaccinated. Get vaccinated while you're thinking about having a baby, before you're thinking about having a baby, while you're pregnant with your baby, or after you've delivered your baby. There is no bad time.
Is it?
So I wonder, how can this possibly be even said? You're not even supposed to eat lunch meat when you are in fact pregnant, because it could negatively affect the baby. There is no data, no studies were done at all about this. This is, in fact, what this woman has done, first of all, invalidates the entire integrity of the healthcare industry. Her and many people in the last 2.5 years who have towed the pharmaceutical line have completely invalidated people to healthcare. I know so many people that will never trust the pharmaceutical or healthcare industry ever again. And it is understandable at this stage that they would not, as this woman just made a statement that she could not possibly, at this point in time, on September 30th of 2021, back up with any data at all whatsoever. There is no data that has been released from Pfizer, from the Freedom of Information Act dumps, that in any way show this woman should be this confident in stating that there is no bad time to get vaccinated if you are thinking about having a baby, breastfeeding, or pregnant. There's none, absolutely none. She does not discuss any of the possible negative outcomes, such as very serious blood clots, birth defects, spontaneous miscarriages that are shown actually in the Pfizer data. In the actual data from Pfizer, these things are shown. There is no mention of this. Instead, she just says that there is no bad time, none, to get vaccinated. Whether pregnant, thinking about being pregnant, or even breastfeeding. There is no basis of statement on this at all. This woman should be questioned by authorities for crimes against humanity. This is a Nuremberg violation. And she has people could have lost their lives, lost their children because of what this woman said in that very video. Yet alone the fact that at no point in time does the CDC director seem to be willing to try to save people's lives from this pandemic that was so deadly. This woman has not discussed any possible natural immunity or any comorbidities at all since she has been the CDC director. She has discussed nothing but getting vaccinated. That's vaccinated en masse is all this woman has discussed since she has been CDC director. Nothing else. I'm sure she will start talking about climate change soon, but at no point in time does she have any merit, any basis to call this vaccine even safe for anybody. At no point in time should any of these public health officials be telling you to do something without informing you of why. We have robbed a generation of people of informed consent and then encourage them to take a experimental therapy that by their own data was killing people in the trials. By their own data that's released was killing people in the trials. But they made it seem like it was perfectly safe and effective for everybody without even mentioning any side effects. This goes against public health policy. This goes against her oath to both the Constitution by providing free and by providing information, and as a doctor. This woman should be arrested and questioned as to why she made these statements. But yet alone, it is not even being discussed by anybody. For the Pfizer data to not be being the top story on every mainstream media clown show outlet shows you that it is in fact not good for you. If this data that was being released that we had to force Pfizer and the FDA to release to the people as they wanted to hold it for 75 years. If this data showed in any way that this vaccine was actually safe and effective by anywhere close to the claims that they come up with, do you not think it would be the number one story on mainstream media running at the beginning of every month to convince people to then get vaccinated? They have damn near coerced every human being in America to try to get vaccinated, no matter what your status was on natural immunity or anything like that. If this was safe and effective, these data releases would be the number one story on every mainstream media outlet. But not one mainstream media outlet and almost no politicians have even discussed them, have even brought them up. Because it does, in fact, show that there are very serious problems with efficacy and safety of this vaccine, quote unquote, vaccine gene therapy. This is not an if. And if it is an if, I would love to see somebody explain via the data that's being released how it does show that is, in fact, safe and effective. I would love to hear Dr. Rachel Walensky talk the data through, Dr. Fauci talk the data through. Any of these people, these charlatans, in my opinion, of course, talk the data through that is being released to the public of what makes the data show that it is in fact safe and effective, especially for people that are breastfeeding, thinking about getting pregnant, or in fact actually pregnant, growing a life inside of them. What the fuck is wrong with society that we cannot even talk about this? Can we at least talk about it? Because at some point in time, we have to see this for what it is. An open-faced lie that has cost lives. That's exactly what this is. This woman is likely responsible for untold suffering, illness, death of children and people. This should be seen as how it is, seen for what it is. But instead, we are just not talking about it because it is suppressed on mainstream media, social media, those sorts of things. Dr. Rachel Walensky, Dr. Fauci, and anybody else that has spoken to the safety and efficacy of this vaccine, of this therapy, should in fact have to answer to the data being released and what they thought, their interpretation of this actual data being released from Pfizer and the FDA that made it safe and effective to the point where they were telling everybody, they were even trying to coerce the entirety of America to in fact get this or not be able to function in society, I would love to hear them have to answer to what about this data made them say those things. And if they cannot, we should in fact start trials, as those are crimes against humanity. And that's my opinion, of course, and I will not be censored about it. God damn.